Listen to this.
Today, once again, I am here to share wisdom with you, nurturing the mind, the essence of life, so that we may come to understand our ultimate purpose. Throughout our lives, we have been searching for the highest goal, just as the world relentlessly pursues its desires. From the moment we were born, we had no knowledge of why we came into existence. In the earliest days, we could not even speak, nor did we know what it meant to be human. We had no awareness of how we came to dwell in this body. As time passed, our parents taught us how to think, how to remember, how to speak, and how to believe that we are human. They taught us to struggle for survival, to sustain this body. Then we went to school, where we were again taught how to think, how to remember, and how to believe that we must strive to sustain this life. From childhood to adulthood, we have been conditioned to see ourselves as human beings, believing that this body will remain with us forever. And so we seek the highest fulfillment in life, competing, harming, destroying, blaming, growing angry, and resenting one another. We consume other living beings as food, sustaining ourselves at the cost of other lives. Now we find ourselves here, having built families, homes, and wealth, accumulating everything we can in pursuit of what we believe to be the pinnacle of life. But do we truly know what the ultimate end of this life is? The reality is that this body will inevitably age. It will weaken, fall ill, and deteriorate. Pain arises where there was none before. Illness comes where once there was health. One moment we feel strong, and the next we may collapse without warning. Some conditions we have never known begin to appear. Over time, we come to realize that this body is not ours to keep. It is constantly reminding us that it cannot stay forever. Yet we often ignore these warnings. Day by day, the body grows weaker, older, and eventually it will cease to be. This is the final truth of the body. It will return to dust. Some live only months, others a few years, some decades, whether 10, 20, 50, or even 80 years. In the end, none of us escape this fate. So, is this truly the highest goal we seek in life? Do you realize that when this body dissolves and dies, the mind, the essence of life, drifts on, seeking a new form? It may take the body of a creature in the water, on land, underground, or in the sky. The chance of being born as a human is incredibly rare. Do you know how many times this cycle has repeated? Countless lifetimes, countless bodies, millions upon millions, since the very first stars formed in the emptiness of space. From that time onward, we have been taking form, endlessly transitioning from one body to another. It is an infinite cycle. And each time we enter a new body, we begin again, unaware of how we arrived. We are taught to eat, to think, to remember, to live, to survive. We compete, harm, and destroy. As animals, we consume one another. Some eat us, we eat them. When we are devoured, we suffer. We feel pain, anger, hatred, resentment. And when we are the ones who kill, we feel satisfaction. And so the cycle continues over and over. For what purpose? We are born into these bodies time and time again, only to be trapped in them, waiting for the inevitable conclusion, decay and death. Is this truly the highest purpose of life? Do you understand why the mind, the essence of life, remains bound to these prisons of flesh without end? Are we born simply to eat and sleep, to struggle and suffer, to be consumed by conflict, destruction, anger, and sorrow? From the moment we wake to the moment we sleep, our days are filled with suffering. We spend our entire existence chasing after something, striving, fighting, and exhausting ourselves, all for a single meal, all while breeding resentment, hatred, and vengeance. And in the end, the body ages, falls ill, and perishes. Is this truly the highest purpose of life? Is this all there is? The real question is this: why does the mind, the essence of life, keep drifting endlessly in search of a new body? This is the true point of awakening, the highest realization one can attain in life. Shouldn't we be focusing on understanding this instead? Once we grasp this key truth, why the mind continues to seek form, why it never ceases to take birth, we will start to see the path to liberation. When will this cycle end? When will the mind stop clinging to bodies and being reborn again and again? There is only one thing we must learn: the nature of the mind, the essence of life itself. This is the single most profound subject worth studying. The world teaches us to learn everything else: science, philosophy, history, wealth, power. But have we not already lived through all these experiences? We have known both the heights of wealth and the depths of poverty. We have had families, children, spouses, and countless relationships across lifetimes. We have taken birth in every form, human and non-human. Some creatures give birth to hundreds of thousands at a time. We have experienced this too, over and over. Every living being carries within it the same essence, the same mind seeking shelter in form. But where did this essence originally come from? Do we truly know what the mind is, what the essence of life is? This understanding is crucial. Every single one of us must come to know our own mind, our own essence. Once we do, everything becomes clear. Would you like to witness an age where true peace prevails? A time when beings no longer harm, kill, or exploit one another? But look at the world now. We fight over land, claiming ownership over the earth as if it belongs to us. Even if we took possession of the entire planet, what would we truly gain? Eventually we would still age, decay, and leave this world behind. Is this really the ultimate goal of life? And after all that, the mind drifts on once again, seeking a new body, being born once more, often as something other than human. The chance to be human is unimaginably rare, and yet here we are. So will we continue this cycle, or will we finally understand? Do you know why I am able to speak about this? It is because I have awakened. I have observed within and come to see the true nature of the mind. I have come to recognize its qualities, and I have realized with clarity what it truly is. When the mind is freed from its conditioned states, it becomes evident our essence is a pure, luminous substance. It is so clear, so boundless, that it merges with the entire universe. This is what we truly are. Yet we do not recognize it. We possess the most extraordinary, the most profound essence within us, something far greater than anything we have ever known. Simply put, we have always been this pure essence from the very beginning. Then why, if we are already pure, do we keep taking form, endlessly inhabiting bodies, shifting from one existence to another? Why? Because our essence lacks the wisdom to know itself. We do not realize that we are already something so profoundly pure. The reason is simple. This pure essence has no instruments, no indicators to reveal what it is. In its absolute clarity, it has no body, no form, no movement, no birth, and no death. It is timeless. It is neither light nor darkness. It is so clear that it merges with all things. But because it is beyond all conditions, it cannot recognize itself. It cannot know anything on its own. For this essence to perceive, it requires tools. It needs a body. It must develop sensations, thoughts, emotions, and awareness. These are the instruments that allow it to experience, to process, and to learn. Even the ability to recognize itself depends on having a tool for that recognition. Think of it this way. If we wish to explore the ocean depths, we need equipment: a submarine, a diving suit, an oxygen tank, pressure protection, and food to sustain us underwater. Likewise, if we want to venture into space, we need a spacesuit, a spacecraft, specialized food, and oxygen to breathe. We cannot survive in space as we do on Earth without these tools. Do you see? The body is merely a tool, a temporary vessel for experiencing and learning. But have we ever questioned whether we still need it? Have we ever wondered if there comes a time when the tool is no longer necessary? This is the realization we must reach. Just like this, for the essence of life, the pure, luminous substance, to experience the conditioned world, it must first extend its current and attach to matter within this realm of formation and dissolution. Once it establishes this connection, it can inhabit a body. The moment the body comes to life, it begins to be conditioned, taught to think, to remember, to imagine, to feel emotions, to process, to perceive, and to learn. And so, we find ourselves living within this world of the body, a world of 3 dimensions, where everything appears with form, height, width, and depth. There is also time and distance. Whether we call it 4 or 5 dimensions, it doesn't really matter. Let's just call it the human world for now. But do you understand this? We are not human. We are, in truth, the pure, formless essence, one with the infinite void, merging seamlessly with the vastness of the universe. This is what our mind, our essence of life, truly is. It is the highest truth, and this is what we must come to understand. This is the ultimate purpose of being born as a human, to awaken to this highest truth. Everything else is secondary. No matter how wealthy we become, in the end the body will perish, and everything will be reset. If we are reborn as an animal, we may never have the chance to become human again. No matter how high our status, how much power we hold, the final outcome is the same. The body disintegrates and dies. Before that moment comes, some may suffer from disabilities. Some may lose their ability to think, becoming trapped in a mind that no longer functions. Some may deteriorate to the point where they are unable to care for themselves, left bedridden, helpless, waiting for others to clean them, feed them, and keep them alive. Is this really what we desire? No matter how great we become, no matter how wealthy, no matter how much power and influence we hold, in the end, there will come a moment when we feel that we no longer wish to remain in this world. A question will arise. Why was I born? We will begin searching for an answer, reflecting on the life we have lived up to this very moment, until we find ourselves bedridden, lying in our own waste, helpless. And at that point, we will think, how did I end up like this? Wealth, status, praise, influence, power, none of it will help. Nothing we have accumulated will matter anymore. Instead, we will long for someone, anyone, to come and tell us the truth. Why was I born? We will begin questioning our own heart, seeking desperately for an answer. But before we can grasp it, the body will start to fail. It will grow heavier, unable to move. Breathing will become labored. And then, finally, it will stop. Do you realize? Everything we have spent our lives accumulating will collapse in an instant. It will all be taken back, as if nature itself reclaims everything. This body, which we believe to be our own, was never truly ours. It always belonged to the earth, and in the end, it returns to the earth. Where is our body now? The moment the body dies, the mind, the essence of life, immediately departs. If we were to step outside of this body and look at it, we would see its true nature. It would begin to decay, to swell, to rot. Its form would become unbearable. And then we would ask ourselves, how did I ever inhabit such a thing? We would feel nothing but repulsion, seeing clearly how filthy, putrid, and unfit for dwelling this body truly is. And in that moment, when we are freed from it, we will finally understand, and we will realize, how could I have been so blind? We have been given the rarest and most extraordinary opportunity to inhabit this human vessel, to have the chance to realize the highest truth, the pure, luminous essence of life that we truly are. Yet, instead of using this opportunity to understand our essence, we waste it, caught in endless struggle, harming, competing, and destroying one another for a single meal. From the moment we wake until the moment we sleep, we are consumed by worries, chasing wealth, drowning in debt, entangled in family matters, exhausting ourselves for a single meal. Is this not the height of ignorance? Why have we allowed ourselves to be so blind? Instead of coming together to teach and guide one another about the nature of the mind, the essence of life, we remain lost in this cycle of suffering. Do you know that within this pure essence of life, there is no suffering at all? There is no pain, there is no joy, there is no emotion, no sound, no body. It is simply a state of pure being, formless, radiant, untouched by any disturbance. It is clarity itself, dissolving into the infinite vastness of the cosmos. This is what we truly are. In this state of purity, there is no movement, no formation, no distortion, no sound, no imagery, no sensation. Nothing arises, nothing ceases. It is beyond birth and death. It is eternal. Do you understand what it means to be pure? It is like the innocence of a newborn when a baby is just 1 or 2 weeks old. Look into their eyes, soft, round, untainted by the world. Their skin is fresh, glowing with purity. Can you see it? That untouched clarity. That is the purity of life itself. That is what we are. We are the pure, luminous nature, the most supreme state of being. This is what we truly are. But because we do not realize this, we take refuge in the body, much like inhabiting a robotic vessel. And then we mistakenly believe that we are this body. What should we call this if not ignorance? We believe we are human. We believe we are male or female. But do you know, the mind, the essence of life, has no gender. It is not male nor female. It has never been human. It has never had a name. It has no surname. It has no age. In its true nature, the pure luminous essence of life, there is no time, there is no distance, there is no size. It merges seamlessly with all that is. It is absolute purity. And yet we waste our lives chasing things, seeking status, power, wealth, recognition, and fleeting happiness. But the moment we grow old, when we become so weak that we can no longer move, when we are confined to a bed, helpless, lying in our own waste, that is when we will start questioning everything. Someone please help me. Why was I born? In that moment, we will see with absolute clarity that our riches, our status, our influence, none of it can save us. Nothing can help this body. The body will age, it will deteriorate, and finally it will collapse. And all we will feel is this desperate question, why was I born? Let me tell you this, the moment the body takes its last breath, the essence of life will immediately depart, and then without hesitation, it will seek another body. It happens automatically. But why? This is the real question. Why does the essence of life keep seeking new forms? The answer is simple. Because it has not yet found the answer. It has not yet realized why it takes birth. It has not yet understood why it inhabits the body. It remains trapped in the cycle, endlessly searching for what it does not yet comprehend. As long as this realization has not occurred, the search will continue. As long as the essence of life does not know its own nature, it must keep seeking a vessel, just as we continue building spacecraft as long as we do not fully understand the moon. We send probes astronauts, and satellites because we are still searching for answers. As long as we do not understand the universe, we will continue to explore it. Is that not so? But the day we finally understand it all, the day we have all the answers, we will stop searching. Do you understand this? This means that the mind, the essence of life, seeks to understand all things and ultimately to understand itself. And when the moment of realization comes, when we awaken to the truth that all things arise only to dissolve, that nothing truly belongs to us, that nothing is me or mine, then the search will come to an end. When we fully accept this truth, when we recognize that our true essence is pure, empty, and boundless, when we realize that we are the origin, the source, the fundamental nature of all things, then we will weep, for we will have found the most supreme truth. I have come to see and know this essence directly, and so I have spoken, I have shared, I have created recordings, I have taught many, and they too have awakened to the profound truth of the mind, the essence of life. And those who have realized this truth have found something truly wondrous, supreme, something beyond words. Now we come together to spread this knowledge, to pass it on, so that all beings on this earth may hear it and awaken to their own essence. When that happens, the world will change. People will live in harmony. They will no longer harm one another. This will be the age of true peace. Everyone will coexist in deep serenity, in a world free from suffering, until the body dissolves. And when the body dissolves, the mind, the essence of life, will not take form again. It will have reached the end of birth. Do you know how many life essences exist? The essence of life inhabits all living beings. Do you realize how many millions of species of aquatic creatures exist? How many millions of beings dwell in the water? And what about those beneath the earth? How many millions of species and countless beings are there? On land, in the sky, how many different forms of life exist in this world, in this universe? And what of those living in the air, in the vastness of space? How many are there? Now, take all the living beings across the infinite cosmos and bring them together. This is the essence of life, inhabiting the many vessels we call bodies. Regardless of what type of creature, in whatever realm, all of them contain the essence of life. The total number, it is infinite. It cannot be counted. So where did all these life essences originate? To understand this, we must first examine what our essence of life truly is. And to do that, we must remove everything that is not the essence of life. The body is not the essence of life. It is not the mind. It is not what we are. Understand this. The body will inevitably break down, decay, and die. It does not belong to us, nor is it who we are. So remove the body from the equation. When we strip away the body, only two things remain: the essence of life and the manifestations that arise from it. What are these manifestations? They include the voices in our mind, the thoughts and meanings we assign to them. Remove them, then remove all mental images, the visions and pictures we create in our thoughts. Remove them. Then remove all emotions. Joy, sadness, anger, fear. Remove them all. Now imagine, there is no body, no internal dialogue, no mental images, no emotions. Be like one who knows nothing, who has never learned anything before. Follow only this teaching. There is no body now. There is no inner voice. The body was never truly ours. The sounds in our mind were never truly ours. Understand this. We are the essence of life, empty, clear, and pure. In this natural state there is no arising, no movement, no manifestations. There is only purity. The voice we listen to every day, the thoughts we engage with every moment, these are not who we are. If you still believe the voice in your mind is you, then realize this truth. Suffering exists because we cling to this voice. We use the body as an instrument. We use thought as an instrument to communicate in this world. But understand, the essence of life has never truly belonged to this world. Recognize this. Remember this. The voice you hear in your mind, the inner dialogue that speaks and thinks continuously, is not yours. Remove it. See clearly that it does not belong to you. This voice thinks on its own, forms its own narratives, and arises naturally as part of conditioned existence. It thinks, imagines, and constructs ideas by itself, just as I am speaking to you now. But even this voice, these words, do not belong to anyone. No one owns them. Let go of this voice. Remove the mental images, the stories and visions you keep creating in your thoughts. Remove them. Let go of all emotions. Pleasure, displeasure, neutrality, calmness, happiness, suffering. Remove them completely. These emotions are not yours. I have spoken clearly, yet we foolishly cling to these things. And in that clinging, we suffer. Do you realize? No one owns suffering. No one possesses emotions. Do not be foolish enough to hold on to them. If you truly listen to these words with wisdom, just this alone can bring tears to your eyes. The mind, the essence of life, becomes clear in an instant. The moment you reach this realization, there will be nothing but lightness, vastness, and release. If you have reached this, I rejoice with you. I have spoken plainly. Remove the voice. It is not yours. It is merely an occurrence, just like the body. The body is not yours either. It is simply an instrument. We are merely inhabiting it, using it temporarily. The same is true for the inner voice. It is only a tool. It is not you. See this clearly. Remove the voice. Remove the mental images. Remove the emotions. All of these things are just instruments for existing in this world. But when there is no voice, no mental images, and no emotions, what remains? What remains is only awareness and memory. Isn't that so? Now remove memory. Let go of everything you have ever remembered, everything that tells you that you are human. Erase it completely. Now nothing remains of what you once believed yourself to be. And yet, something is still aware. It still perceives sound. Pay attention. This knowing is happening by itself. The ability to hear, smell, taste, touch, it happens by itself. This awareness, which perceives without effort, removes it too. Now what remains? Nothing. What is left is the pure, empty, luminous essence of life. It is neither dark nor light. It is simply clear. This is the essence of life. We are this very nature. This nature is the origin, the primordial essence from which all things arise. From this essence, an immeasurable force has been generated, and from this force, matter has formed. The vast universe itself emerged from this. If we divide it into three aspects, the first is actually not an aspect at all. It is the source, the pure essence of life. This is the foundation, the base. We are this empty, pure, and luminous essence. Everything else is not us. Whoever understands this, tears will fall, the weight will lift, the release will come. If you realize that we are this clarity, seamlessly merging with the entire cosmos, rejoice. But do not memorize this. I am not teaching you to remember. Memory does not exist. Erase it completely. I am not teaching you to think either, because thought is not ours. Erase that too. I am guiding you back, leading you step by step until you recognize the mind, the essence of life, the original, pure, and boundless source. Return to it, just as I have spoken. Now, let this knowledge spread. Share this wisdom with every being on this earth, across all ages, across all backgrounds. When the moment of realization comes, when one reaches the essence of life, the most supreme truth, tears will fall. From that moment on, suffering will completely cease. There will be no more suffering, not until the body dissolves. And when that happens, The essence of life will never take form again. This will be our final lifetime. Let this truth be known as quickly as possible. Win this game. No one has ever taught us this from childhood. If every child begins listening to this truth from now on, they will awaken effortlessly in no time at all. Many wise ones have listened to my words just once, and in a single day they were free. Tears fell, they wept for 3 days and 3 nights, experiencing only vastness and lightness, completely released. And from that moment on, they have never suffered again. Many have awakened in less than 7 days. If it has been over a month and you still feel confused, still struggling to grasp the essence of this, do not ask why. It is like being in school while others pass their exams, but you remain lost, unable to understand. There is no need to ask why. What I want to tell you is this: listen every day, listen over and over again, 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times. Listen until you are free from the sense of self, until the moment you finally see we are the pure, luminous essence of life. And then you will weep. You will be overcome with awe. It will be indescribable. It is like the voice you once thought was yours suddenly falling away. You will see that the voice speaking is not yours. The thoughts you have held on to, the images of your parents, your family, the places you remember, suddenly you will see they are not yours either. The same goes for emotions. You will see that all emotions, contentment, discontent, neutrality, joy, suffering, none of them are yours. And when this falls away, something extraordinary happens. Observe carefully right now as you hear this. Notice how the mind is hearing this sound by itself. You do not have to put effort into hearing. It is simply happening. Observe closely. The mind hears on its own. It smells on its own. It tastes on its own. It perceives on its own. Where is the self in all of this? The moment you notice this, the moment you have this realization, it can happen in an instant. Simply observe and understand. And when the mind, the essence of life, finally accepts this truth, it will release itself. Tears will fall, and you will know. It will be as if you have awakened from a long dream, as if you have stepped out of illusion and seen that everything you once believed in was nothing more than a dream. And in that moment, you will weep, for it is beyond anything you have ever known. It is the most precious truth, the very reason we were born. We must come to realize this. Everything else is not what we are here to seek. We have already been everything. We have already had everything. So do not waste your time clinging to anything in this world. The most precious thing is to urgently awaken to the understanding of the mind, the essence of life. Remember this: everyone must bring the study of the mind, the essence of life, into their learning and fully grasp it. Whoever realizes this has passed beyond suffering. From that moment on, we will no longer be bound by suffering. We will live in peace, in harmony, in prosperity. We will gain profound knowledge, understanding vast and extraordinary things. We will enter an era where instantaneous creation becomes possible, an age where space travel, moving freely across the cosmos, will be as natural as walking. That is what will happen. That is where we are heading, because the nature of the mind itself is boundless. If we truly know the mind, we can create anything. We will understand the entirety of the universe. Do you know? The entire cosmos already exists within our mind. Our mind is one with the universe itself. Attain this realization. Whoever reaches this understanding completely will know, directly, unmistakably. It is something that can only be known through direct experience, and everyone can reach it. Let this knowledge spread. Share my recordings. Let everyone listen. Children, the elderly, the disabled, men, women, all genders, all ages, all classes, all statuses, all beliefs, all religions, all races, all nations. This truth is universal. Make a firm vow. From this moment until full realization, keep listening. Listen until you understand, until it is completely clear. Awaken within. See the thoughts as they arise. See how they speak, how they form. See that they are simply natural occurrences. They are not you. See how mental images arise, how the mind conjures up places, people, and memories. See clearly that these too are just natural occurrences. They are not you. See how emotions arise. Pleasure, displeasure, neutrality, happiness, suffering, all emotions. Observe and realize. Emotions are simply natural occurrences. They are not you. They do not belong to you. See this clearly. See that even the knowing itself, the awareness you experience right now, is simply happening on its own. It is not you. It is simply the nature of knowing. See this truth. Do not foolishly cling to these things. Do not return to birth again. This will be your final lifetime. May realization arise in you at this very moment. We must all make this vow. I speak in terms of the universal essence, in terms of world peace, something that everyone can listen to, regardless of religion, race, or belief system. I am not speaking in reference to anything specific, but purely for the sake of true peace in the world, free from division by nationality, ethnicity, or ideology. If I were to speak from the perspective of any one religion, others would not listen. Therefore, from now on, my words will remain neutral, unbound by any particular tradition, so that all people may understand. It is we who divide ourselves by country, by religion, by belief, by society. These divisions exist because of our thoughts, our memories, our perceptions, and the emotions we attach to them. We separate ourselves through the mental fabrications we create. Yet there is a nature beyond all fabrications, something that has never divided, never been altered. It only waits to be realized. That nature is the mind, the essence of life itself. Do you know that we are one with the entire universe? We are the pure, luminous essence of life, merging seamlessly with the vast clear space before us, merging with the whole cosmos, the clear empty space before us, untouchable, boundless. That is what we are. Within this clarity, air exists. Air moves and becomes winds, storms, shifting between heat and cold. No matter how turbulent the storms may be, no matter how destructive, they can never disturb the vast open emptiness itself. Our mind, our essence of life, is just like this. Whether the body ages, falls ill, or eventually breaks apart and dies, the mind remains untouched. The voice speaking now, whether thoughts arise in positive or negative ways, whether emotions fluctuate between joy and sorrow, contentment or dissatisfaction, none of this affects the essence of the mind. The mind does not belong to the arising and passing of conditioned experiences. Even the act of perception itself, no matter how it manifests, does not truly touch the mind. Thus, understand this. The mind, the essence of life, is beyond all that arises and ceases. We have been this way since the very beginning, all the way to the present. That is why I say we have changed bodies countless times. Each time we acquire a new body, we must start over, learning everything anew. This is the law of nature. I have summarized it for you. And now it is time to fulfill the most precious purpose of our existence, to learn, to know the mind, to recognize the essence of life itself. It is time to study this truth, to realize it, to make it known to the world. Let everyone on this planet learn. Whoever reaches this pure, luminous essence of life first passes the test, and this understanding must be taught from childhood. It does not take long. Children learn quickly. The moment someone realizes this truth, they will feel an overwhelming wonder in their heart. I am free. I am no longer bound to this world. Even the words I speak are not mine. These thoughts, emotions, and sensations are not mine. Nothing belongs to me. I am at peace. I have transcended. Whoever reaches this understanding has passed and can move on to the next level, living life with clarity. In each stage of life, we must revisit this wisdom, discussing, teaching, and reminding one another. Once we know that this body is not truly ours, we understand that we are merely life essence residing in a temporary vessel, a cage called the body. This body does not last long, and so from now on, recognize that it is only a temporary tool. If it falls ill, do not suffer over it. If it needs treatment, seek treatment. If healing is possible, heal it. If it cannot be healed, let it go. Do you understand? If the body cannot be saved, let it return naturally, because it is not truly you. When we realize that we are pure, luminous emptiness, we see that even the voice speaking these words is merely a tool to navigate this world. It is not us. Observe how thoughts arise on their own, how words form by themselves, how emotions emerge and dissolve on their own. For example, when you imagine going to an island, taking a boat across the sea, and swimming in the clear water, notice that this thought arises naturally. There is an image, correct? Can you see how this thought thinks itself? How does this voice speak itself? There is no owner of this voice. When the voice stops, it disappears. While it speaks, there is no one who owns it. Can you see that this voice cannot be grasped? You cannot hold it in your hand, mold it into a shape, or store it in a container. Try capturing this voice in a bag and handing it to me. Can you? Number sound, like the wind, has no form. Since it has no form, why do we suffer because of it? Why do we cling to it? The voice belongs to no one, and it has no shape. It is simply a tool for communication. Once spoken, it disappears. There is no need to hold on to it, no need to suffer over it. Some people think and overthink until it drives them into mental distress. But why think so much? What do you truly gain from it? Do you understand? When we are at work, we perform our duties. If we are asked to solve a problem, we think about it, we work through it. But once the thinking is done, it disappears, just like this voice, which arises and then vanishes. For example, I spoke about traveling to an island, and now that thought is gone. It has disappeared, hasn't it? Right now you may think, I want to eat noodles. The moment you think of it, an image appears, and then it too fades away. Do you see? The moment sound arises, it also disappears. It exists only now, and then it is gone. Can you see that this voice is without substance, without an owner? Who can recognize this? It is this voice that says, this is an arm, this is a leg. But look at your arm, look at your leg. Do they say, I am an arm or I am a leg? Do they declare themselves as left leg, left arm, right arm, belonging to someone? Number. It is the voice that assigns these labels. But look carefully, these things themselves do not speak. This voice says, this is me, my home, my car. But observe, do these objects declare themselves as yours? Does a tree say what kind of tree it is? Number. Nothing speaks for itself. It is only this voice that creates and defines everything in this world. The mind, or the life essence, relies on this voice to interpret reality, as if we are truly alive, as if we are truly speaking right now, as if we are truly inhabiting this body, having a name, a surname, being a man or a woman, being 50, 60, or 70 years old. But do you see? All of this is just following the voice. Life, essence, consciousness, wake up. We are not these things. We are the pure, empty, luminous essence. This voice is merely a ripple arising from that infinite emptiness. It is energy manifesting as waves of sound. These sound waves have no form, no owner. Do not foolishly suffer because of them. Do not foolishly cling to them, for they do not belong to you. When the mind or the life essence truly understands this, deeply, profoundly, tears may fall. There is a lightness, an openness. The more one listens, the lighter it becomes, the more open it feels, until finally it completely lets go. And when that happens, one will know with absolute certainty that they have transcended beyond the sense of being a person. One will recognize fully and completely that they are one with the pure, empty vastness that permeates the entire universe. They will feel with all their heart that they will never be reborn again, that suffering is no more, because there is nothing left to be called self. From that moment on, they will remain in this world in peace, living effortlessly until the body dissolves. Thoughts will still arise, emotions will still appear, perceptions will still manifest, just as before. But deep within, they will know that all of these things are simply happening on their own. The voice speaks, just as it does. Laughter arises, just as it does. Mental images appear, just as they do. Emotions arise, just as they do. Whether they are emotions of happiness or suffering, they simply are. They are like passing wind. This voice is like a passing wind. What meaning is there in holding on to it? The words have been spoken, and they are gone. Mental images are like passing wind. They arise and vanish. A pleasant emotion, like passing wind, it appears and disappears. An unpleasant emotion, like passing wind, it comes and goes. It may carry a scent, but do not embrace it. Do not love it. Do not cling to it. Do you understand? Even the awareness you experience right now, it too is like passing wind. It arises and dissolves. Do not cling to any of it, because none of it is you. None of it belongs to you. These are merely energy waves, rippling out from the mind, from the life essence, like wind being released into the air. It is simply what it is, not you, not yours. In summary, we have taken on this body only to let it go. We use this voice only to release it. We rely on mental images only to discard them. We experience emotions only to relinquish them. We perceive and recognize only to transcend recognition itself. We think only to abandon thought. We need nothing more. We now know that we are pure, empty, luminous essence. While we remain in this world, we will dwell in peace. Why harm or oppress one another when nothing truly belongs to us? Why compete, boast, or seek to prove ourselves when there is no self to prove? Do you see? Knowing this, the desire to be superior, to show off, to assert oneself disappears. There is only the wish to share, to tell others, to invite everyone to listen to this truth. There is only the impulse to pass on this knowledge to all. For those who have realized this, I rejoice with you. You will never suffer again. May all beings on this earth awaken to this truth. And when that happens, we will live together in harmony, ushering in an era of true peace. Now it is time. I will conclude here. May we all realize this truth swiftly, without delay. May all beings awaken to it now